number 3, week 8, part 3, positioning activity. All right, remember last time we got our CSS already and our HTML. We've already done all we're going to do on the HTML. So the only thing we're going to look at here is this one. And I've got to make this a little bigger so we can see what we're doing. There we go. All right, so we're going to do activity 1 together. All right, now up here, there's a little bit of a clue here. Right above the activity, there's a clue above each one. And this clue is that you're going to have the parent of the activity 1 boxes. Remember we did content, which kind of wrapped around our whole page? Well, that's the same thing that you need for Flexbox. And so our content is our parent. These 4 boxes are the children. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is add to this. And right here where this clue is, we're going to get rid of this because it's a comment and it's in a place where we're going to be actually putting things in. And so that's the only thing I'm getting rid of. And then you're going to put in, we want this thing to be Flexbox. So we have to tell it display Flexbox. Or well, display WebKit Flex. We want to do the whole thing. Display and it just tells the browser what we're doing here. Would it work without this? Yeah, but we're going to do that anyway. It's an extra step. Then we're going to say display Flex. And don't forget to put those semicolons. All right, now we want each box to say the same size. They're each box is 100 pixels by 100 pixels. One's red, one's green, one's gold, one's blue. But by telling it WebKit and that to display Flex, when we go back to the HTML and we look at that, it is now exactly the way we need it to look. We'll double check it. Ta-da! That's all we needed to do on that particular box. All right, so let's go to activity number 2. You're just going to keep going back and forth between the HTML and the CSS. All right, so we're done with number 1. Pretty easy. All we had to do is change a little bit. All right, so on this one, we're going to, up here in the activity, the content, the parent of these boxes, and the reason it's got 2 is because it's going to be slightly different for activity 2 than it was for activity 1. And on this one, we're not going to really make any change to the parent up here because this one's easily solved a different way. All we're going to do on this one is we're going to leave number 1 alone because we want that box to stay where it's at. But we do want boxes 2, 3, and 4 to change a little bit and to move. So we're going to tell the second one, we're going to change like the margin top because we want it to move up, if you remember the picture. And we want it to go a minus 50. But don't forget to put pixels. It won't work if you don't put pixels. And we also want to move the margin left and we want it to go margin 50. Well, we want it to go to the right more. So not minus 50, we want it to move over to the right 50. And let's see if we're on the right track. I'm going to go back up here and look at it. Oh, good. It's moving the direction I want. I want them to all be diagonal like this. So we just have to get these two boxes to move over. All right, we got it going. All right, on the yellow box, I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to go margin top, minus 50. And then we want to go margin left, 100 pixels. Why 100? Because we want it to be half of a box over to the right. Half of another, well, one box plus another half. So it's got to be 100 pixels. And let's double check it. We're going to look at it. We have them going on here. All right, so then we're going to move the last box, and it's going to be the same minus 50 on the margin top. And margin left. And that's going to be, you guessed it, 150 pixels. All right, that should be all we need for activity number 2. Let's double check. Ta-da! And it should look exactly like that. All right, that's example 1 and 2. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3, I think I closed that one. So let me open number 3. Just so you can see what it needs to look like. Oh, I'm being silly. Number 3, the hint. It's going to look like this. The red bar is going to be all the way across, and so is the blue one. And the 2 middle ones are going to look like that. Don't get nervous. It's not that hard. All right, so now I'm going to move the box so it's way up here. And we're going to look at number 3, activity 3. All right, so let's see if we need to, let me think, if we need to do anything into the content. And this one we actually do have to put some things in the content. So I'm going to get rid of this line. And we need to tell this one to display WebKit Flex. And then display flex, just like we did in the first one. And then, let's see, we need to tell it that we want the flex direction to go across, to be row. So we're going to now, and in your readings you should have read about that. So we're going to go flex direction. And we're going to tell it we want the flex wrap to be wrap. And one more thing, we want it to justify the content, but in a certain way. Usually you would tell it center, but we're going to say justify content, space between. Don't forget to, oops, between. Don't forget to put a dash in between the words. Okay, so those are all that you're going to put up there in the parent. And then if each box is 100, we want the width of this, we're going to tell it we want the width to be 100 for each of them, but we want it to be, remember you have those two open spaces. Let's see if the example, we have this open space, so we want it to go a little bit more than, and so we're going to tell it we want it to be a width of 600 on the red, not on all of them, but on the red. So we're going to just change the red to 600 because we want it to go all the way across, but we want to leave the height of the red alone. And then we're going to do the same thing, remember, on the blue. Make sure you're on the correct activity. Sometimes I do this and I accidentally jump down to the wrong one. And I'm going to change this one to 600. And I'm going to show you how it's coming along. Okay, so we've got those. Now we're going to change these two so that they go closer together, but they're going to be taller as well. All right, so now we're going to go back up. The red and the blue are done, and all we've got now to change are the green and yellow. And so we're going to make the width of them both about 250. And down here, the width, 250. All right, and we want the height to be a little more than it is right now, about 2 times as big as a regular one. So we're going to make that a height of, they're 100 each, so we're going to make them 200 on the height. Oops. Always grab too much. Okay. I'm going to save what I got. You should save every now and again. And I'm going to take you over to look at it. And we have now 3 of them done. And 3 of them look like they are supposed to look like. I could have made that a little bit shorter maybe, but you make it look like that, you're good to go. Okay? All right, going on to activity number 4. See, this isn't that hard. All right, so activity number 4, here's what we're going to do. We need to make activity 4, we've got to do a little bit of changing. Actually, I'm going to take a break. I don't like these videos to be too long. So I'm going to do 4, 5, and 6 on the next video, so hang around.